Alright, so first off, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashim, Shai, Bashim, Kakodash, to be honored to the apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, brothers out there, pushing the word of the Lord in sincerity, in all honesty, and in truth. Peace and safety to you, all you brothers out there. It's a brother Ash from the Jimmy's Jamaica camp. Coming at you with that impromptu. I'm sure by now, impromptu. I'm sure by now, most brothers, would have known or even have some wind of what, the earthquake that happened on the east coast of Russia, right? The earthquake was at 8.8 magnitude, and it caused, tsunamis, and there's a tsunami watch. There was a tsunami watch out for the west coast of America, and for Japan, right? Most brothers would know. And you see, people see these things happen, right? And even if you want to say it was orchestrated or it was caused by, sleazy, the fact is that it happened, and the scriptures, the scriptures speak about these things, right? Didn't the scripture speak about these things? Didn't the scripture speak about these things? This is St. Matthew 24:6. It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, right? See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. So the scripture been tell us, this is what happened this morning. The scripture been tell us, that we would have earthquakes, right? As the scripture says, in diverse places, right? And there's an app called, I think it's Earthquake something. I don't remember the name. It just came to me and I lost it right away. What's the name of the app? I don't remember the name of the app, but it's an earthquake app, right? And if you look at it, you'll be surprised to see, how much earthquakes shake on a daily basis, right? That this morning, I think it was about 6,000 earthquakes for the last 24 hours, right? But most of them go, under the radar, because most of them are like 2 point something, 3 point, 1 point. Most of them are under the radar. But the fact is that there are a lot of earthquakes, that are shaking on a daily basis. And it's nothing to ignore, because it's one of the things that the scripture speak about in terms of end times and prophecy. Now, we have other things, coming up in terms of prophecies. For example, famines, wars, race wars, and so forth. The scripture, is accurate. And whenever you see these things, these warnings, is not just because the Lord didn't have nothing to do, right? They're there for a reason, right? And they're going to come to pass, right? Everything that the Lord prescribed is going to come to pass, right? The scripture said the vision is for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, right? Somebody might look on and say, oh, that it's a natural occurring event, or it's just coincidence. No, there's no such thing as coincidence, right? And you're going to learn that in the near future, right? Because all these things in here we speak about, all these things here we prophesy about, you're going to see them happening and unfold in front of your eyes. Then you're going to know that these things that we speak ain't no coincidence. That the things that happen in Salakia is no coincidence, and the thing that we've been speaking, right, is a prophecies from the Lord, right? And there are a lot more things, the scripture speak about. I want to go to 2nd Ezra 9. All right, so I'll get these 3, and if it needs be, I continue. It's 2nd Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shall thou understand that is that very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Right? And how will the Lord visit the earth? right? What would be the welcome mat or the welcome wagon, for the Lord when all hell begin to take place, talking about the time of Jacob's trouble, talking about that great tribulation, the hour of temptation, right? These are the things that these are the precursors, to the Lord visiting the earth, right? You have certain, think about it this way: the Lord is a righteous man, right? A man of righteousness, and iniquity cannot stand before him. So when the Lord turn him face to the earth and begin to move closer, it's gonna everything that is wicked or is a part of iniquity is gonna die. Right, all of that is going to be eradicated from in front of his eyes, right? Because the iniquity cannot bear to survive in the eyes of the Lord, right? This is what you have to understand. So the more the Lord turn towards the earth, right, is the more these things happen. So therefore, this is verse 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, right? And we've been seeing earthquakes. Right, we've been seeing earthquakes in the Middle East like crazy. From Turkey all the way to I think it was Oman. Right, I don't remember exactly, but there were some big earthquakes this year. This 8.8 earthquake now off the east coast of Russia would cause them tsunamis. Right, and I said if you look on the earthquake app, right, earthquake shake by the hundreds daily. Right, most of them not recorded, but they shake by the hundreds daily. Right, and not to mention upwards of the people. Now, since I've been in this truth, there have been so many protests, right, and the people getting more and more riled up. You have people like in America that are very docile and dormant, right, and even out here in the islands, but most of them people on the east of the world, they more protest because they don't consume as much fluoride as we do, so that keep our minds dormant, right? But nevertheless, there are protests that take place, here and there, right? But it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be mass protests right across the world, right, against these governing bodies, right? And in that time, right, you're gonna have that C to the hip, that mark gonna be implemented, to try to control the masses, right? Matter of fact, the reason why they're pushing so hard to get that infrastructure in place right now, right, is for when that time comes, right? They already have that measure of which you will use to control the masses. What is it taking place now with party eyes, right? Then them taking people, bringing them to concentration camps. Who they do away with. Who they keep there, right? All that is the precursor. All that is a precursor, to what's actually going to come, right? When them FEMA coffins going to be used, believe it or not, when them guillotines, and all them bullets and all them Humvees and whatever they transport around, them military vehicles that transport around America, that's when they're going to be used. They're going to have checkpoints, quarantine zones. Right, you're gonna have rehabilitation centers. You're gonna have concentration centers. They're gonna be mass, clinics and whatever. It's gonna be just like any end time movie that you would watch, right? Any disease outbreak movie or zombie movie or any end of the world movie that you watch. That's what it's gonna be like in those times, right? There's gonna be no freedom to move around, right? There's gonna be limited access to the internet and information. Electricity is gonna be rationed. Food is gonna be rationed. That's the type of hostility that you're going into. Right, that's the same hostility that you're going to go into, and we speak these things, and most people out there, they just act the fool and they say, hey, what are you talking about? Everything is normal. There's no such things. Where life has continued as it was from ever since. What's the problem? What the issue is, right? Wars happen all the time, and what? But you see, you don't understand the prophecies. You don't know the prophecies, right? The scripture talk about woes, right? First woe has passed. Well, the second war has passed, and behold, the third war comes quickly. Right, speaking about World War III, you know, that when it says war, we basically mean destruction. Our worries then. worries up. Worries, if you want to use that word. You know, the first worry, the second worry has passed. You know, the worries, the stress of war, and behold, it comes again, right? And there's no escaping it, right? I said this earthquake is just one of the precursors, because it's gonna get worse. You're gonna have earthquakes right across the planet. The whole earth is gonna be shaken, right? And hey, look out! I don't know what the death toll is, because the tsunami did come up, but you can look out for more, things like that. Right. With that, I must say, shalom.